What's up guys, MainManSWE here, hoping you're all doing awesome as always, and I'm joined here by the two masked wrestlers, King and Armor King. And they're both pretty awesome, I really love to play them, but one of them is much stronger than the other. It's quite obnoxious actually how skewed the power dynamic is these days between these two. King is about 5 times as strong as Armor King. Well, he should have something going for him, as otherwise, you know, everyone would just be playing this guy. His redesign for Tekken 7 is one of the best, and he still has some really cool animations. But it's still a problem in that King is just that much stronger. If you're in a competitive environment or you're striving for high level or professional play, and you want to play one of these guys, there's no reason whatsoever to pick Armor King over King. King just does pretty much everything at least twice as good. So I will try and break that down, and maybe it's justice considering Armor King used to always be much stronger than King, so now they flipped it. But it's too much of a contrast, I would say. But I'm going to take it step by step. I will not mention everything, but hopefully the most important points will be covered. And it's much easier to start with a few things Armor King does slightly better than King, and then we'll just get to the meat of it, which is, you know, all the King stuff basically. So first off, Armor King is a hybrid character. He mixes poking, throws, wrestling, crazy mix-ups, and Mishima. He's a pseudo Mishima aspect to him with the wave dash, which he can pressure with and do wave dash mix-ups even into his throws. And he has a Wind God Fist, which is the dark upper. And he can also use his pseudo electric, the CD1, which has great plus frames on block, and from afar will actually launch into this combo here for 63 damage. But that's a high, obviously. Dark upper is a high. But so he has a wave dash to pressure with and realign. And he has the Wind God Fist. So when we talk about whiff punishment, Armor King has an edge on King due to the dark upper. King just doesn't have anything like that. And of course Armor King has his 4-2-1. But that's now a move that they share in Tekken 7. King also has 4-1, and do note that King's does 5 more damage than Armor King's. I don't know why they did this. Maybe it was because they felt Armor King has a dark upper. King will usually whiff punish with 4-1. Maybe he should do more damage. But I'm a bit torn on that one, because you can quite quickly duck with King and do full crouch down for 2, which comes out at 15 frames from crouching. And it's a mid, so the dark upper, when you want to whiff punish moves where they recover in crouch, that's gonna whiff. This will always tag them. And ducking, certainly it adds like 2 frames, but still comes out very quickly and has great range. So in terms of whiff punishment, we do give the edge to Armor King, but it's not as big of a contrast as most people think, in my opinion. And also, Armor King has better basic poking in, for example, down forward 1. 13 frames. It's overall a very good generic down forward 1. It's got a lot of range. It is -1 on block, which is great. King can't match this. King's down forward 1 is 14 frames. King has nothing that resembles this. And down 4 is a really good long range low poke. King doesn't have anything similar to that, although this low does not build momentum, and that's something that goes through right through this character in general. It just does not build momentum. Other than down forward 1, that's good, but any other tool is not going to have crazy frames, to say the least. So poking, if you can give the edge to Armor King here, I would say. And of course the wave dash. And then we like to say that Armor King has much higher damage than King. Again, a little bit exaggerated in my opinion. But obviously if you do hit a dark upper, you can do the big boy combo in this. Like so. And that's 80 damage. Obviously, a shitload of damage. But that requires you to hit a dark upper. And many times you'll be hitting a hop kick. And then most people will do something that does much less damage. Something like this, 62. And it's because the hop kick gives you a pretty bad shot of doing that. You have to do it much faster, but you can do it, and suddenly it's 73 damage. And King, as I said, he just keeps getting buffed. And from a hop kick these days, it's not too hard to dash into 1, 2, back to 1. 65, and then he gets incredible Okizeme after his Shining Wizard, which is something you have to count in. It's not too hard to get a follow-up with King there, due to the incredible Oki. Armor King's Shining Wizard, it's much worse, and that goes for all of his throws. Much worse Oki. So in my opinion, you kind of have to factor that in when you talk about King's damage. Just to demonstrate, neutral for hop kick, 77. So King and then the Oki. So King, in terms of damage, he's not that far off. You know, and much better wall damage. And Armor King's combos are kind of clunky, where I feel as King combos are slightly more flexible. So that was it for Armor King. And then if you want to, you can start talking about his shenanigans here that can be cancelled, or this stance here, which I don't find to be very good. You know, the weird stuff, the weird mix-up stuff. But King has also a lot of mix-up stuff with a very long move list full of obnoxious shit. So now we are at what does King do better, and what are their greatest strengths, these characters? Throws. So being able to force throw mix-ups on the opponent is important, and King does this better, and I will explain why, and it has a lot to do with homing moves and mids. And then just the sheer throws alone, King's throws, they're just so much better. Again, Shining Wizard. Incredible Okizeme. That goes for hitting it airborne as well as hitting it grounded. Blam, incredible Oki. That's a big deal. And then pretty much all of these command throws, this is the 2 mix-up, great Oki. Muscle Buster for 1+2. I can't even hit it. Okay, sorry, I wasn't holding back. Blam, 50 damage, incredible Okizeme. When you look at Armor King's versions of these throw breaks, or his options in terms of 2 break, 1+2 break, nowhere near as good Oki, and King usually gets more damage. And then Armor King can do the 1+2 and 1 50-50 mix-up. You know, the giant swing has the same animation as a 1+2 throw break. It's the same animation. But King can actually, at the wall, really fuck you up. You know when they have their back towards the wall, and if they giant swing, they throw you into the wall for massive damage? So with Armor King, you know that he's gonna go for that. But King can actually 50-50 you here as well, with up 1+2, you know, chokehold, throw you up onto the wall, and do the giant swing for massive damage. So even there, he has sort of a 50-50 to plant you on the wall for huge damage and the wall pressure. And of course, the ground throws are from another world with King. You know, I could do a breakdown on the throws alone, King versus Armor King. And the chain throws, no comparison. There's just no comparison in terms of damage and just sheer number of mix-ups. So throws, King gets this easily. So you have to understand that these 2 characters have the best throw games in the game. Marduk comes very close, Jack is also strong. But Armor King is a very distant second place to King. King, there's no comparison to King. So that's important. And then overall punishment. So we said that Armor King has slightly better with punish, but what about block punish? 10 frames, 2-1, incredible, and they both do this the same. But 12 frame, Kings will hit from literally 5 meters away, it feels like sometimes. 5 meters away. And this certainly helps his counter hit game also with that, you know, super long range 12 frame counter hit high launcher. But so again, fantastic 12 frame, 33 damage plus 5. With Armor King, you'll use, you see, the range problems. Much less range. Much less range. And less damage, 27, but one more frame of pressure. Plus 6 instead of plus 5. King's is twice as good, if you ask me. Twice as good. And then at 15 frame, King will hop kick. And King's hop kick has some range. And again, easy to do, just up forward 4. And now Armor King, 15 frames, one of the worst hop kicks in the game. Do you see this range? That's one of the worst hop kicks in the game. So you really have, most of the time, no easy 15 frame launcher. You have to dark upper. So again, you have the dark upper. Theoretically, you can do this at 14 frames and launch with this. But it's very, 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 very hard to do. So let's go to while standing. They both have identical while standing force for 11 frame punish, plus 5, 20 damage, so it's pretty chunky, But then King at 14 frames gets while standing 2-2, which is also homing, delayable, does 36 damage plus 12, spins them around and can wall splat. And at 15 frames, he gets the excellent full crouch down for 2 for a very long range 21 damage mid launcher. Excellent. And then with Armor King, it is terrible. So again, we have the identical while standing 4, and then we have nothing up until 15 frame. You can do while standing 2, which comes out at 12 frames, but it's only plus 2 and it only does 17. So that's why you do while standing 4 instead. So again, we have nothing up until 15, and that's when again we have to rely on a hop kick that has no range or crouch cancel into dark upper. We have a while standing launcher, but that comes out at 16 frames. And it's probably the worst while standing launcher in the game. At least if you ask me. It has no range. It comes out at 16 frames. It only does 16 damage. And the hitbox is broken. A lot of characters doing moves that have just it seems like just slight high crushing, they can go under this move. The hitbox is almost like a high, even though it's a mid. So this is one of the worst moves in the game overall. So people like to say Armor King's punishment is better than King's. That's a myth. Oh shit, I just slapped my my microphone, pretty much slapping everyone who claims that. That's a myth. King has better punishment than Armor King, even though Armor King has access to a dark upper. So now let's talk about homing. And why is homing so important with these characters? Oh shit. And it's because all of these amazing throws, which is the most important aspect of these characters, it's what they do the best. They have to be able to force throw mix-ups. They are steppable. You can step those throws. You don't have to duck throws, you know, if you're bad at breaking them. You can simply sidestep. They don't track. That's a punish. That's a punish. Recover slowly on whiff. So that's why it's very important for these characters to have homing. And here King has some great options in forward 4. Comes out in 19 frames. It's a low crush, long range, wall splat, knockdown mid. That is actually safe on block. At -9. So that's a great move. Then he also has forward 1, which is one of my absolute favorite moves. It's super long range, 23 frames if you do it as quickly as possible. Homing, just completely controls the spacing. Are they backdashing, stepping, ducking, jumping? No matter what they're doing, this move fucks them up. If they're jumping, it launches them, it screws them. And of course, if we get a counter hit, blam, they are launched. 69 damage. Incredible homing moves. While standing 2 is also a homing. Very nice to have. And then with Armor King, this is almost a design problem with the character in that his mids overall are bad. We're going to get into that. But his homing moves aren't that good to stop people from stepping you. People sidestepping you when you play Armor King is an enormous problem. So with homing, we have forward 3, which comes out at 17 or 18 as fast as possible. And this is pretty nice as it's actually a launcher. A normal hit. But it is high. So again, you have CD1, high, dark upper, high, forward 3, high. You take a big risk, because if they do duck, you are screwed. But if you get it right and they sidestep, this is actually pretty decent. And I believe it to be neutral on block. Let's see, I'm gonna set him to... That's what I remember at least. Yeah, neutral on block. So that's pretty nice. But in terms of mid-homing, it is much worse. At 23 frames, we have down forward 1+2, which has quite decent range. But it's pretty slow. And they even buffed the speed. It used to be 25 frames. Super slow. And it just knocks down into some Oki. Doesn't do anything at all on counter hit, unfortunately. But again, it's too slow. Again, a problem with Armor King. We're gonna get into this, but he always needs a couple of more frames to get going. And that's not the issue with King. King is faster. So in terms of homing, King stuff is much more dangerous than Armor King's. And much safer, because King keeps it mid. Armor King gambles with a high there, with forward 3. And then, yeah, let's just immediately get into the mids. With King... With King, you have access to Damek 2, which is a safe mid launcher. Armor King doesn't have this, other than a move they share in the Capital Punishment, which is slow and steppable. King can just Damek 2 if he wants a safe mid launcher. King also has forward 3, which on hit, you can go into this for 38 damage. It's perfectly safe. It has pretty decent range. I think it's... Oh, it's -8. I thought it was -9. But that's a very good mid. And then he has a momentum building mid in forward 1+4, which is +3 on block and +7 on hit. This is a disgusting move to set up throws with. We'll do this, do this. They don't have time to do anything on hit other than guess. They can't duck, but here you can throw mids. So you have different types of mids with King that give you different forms of utility. And then with Armor King, it's just a train wreck, basically. You have a nice knockdown mid in forward 4-2. Again, the only safe mid launcher is Capital. Down back 1+2, as you can see, is 26 to 27 frames. And this is your momentum building mid, you know, that is good on block. Or forward 2, but again, 24 frames. 24, and to get what? +2, I think? Yeah, only +2 on block. This is +3, not even +4. It's just not very impressive, to say the least. And then he has his own, you know, where King had forward 3 into 1+2 on hit into DDT for 38. Armor King has a super badass stunner, the Stone Cold Stunner, which, you know, you gotta give it to Armor King. Like, he might not be very good, but the animations and moves, oh, It feels good, and he's so nice to look at. Here we go for 35 damage, so it does 3 damage less. It has more range, but it is minus 10. So, due to its pushback, if you place it well from pretty far away, it's pretty good. But you can't use it from point blank, you'll get punished. So yeah, this mid, it's pretty interesting, but it can't make up for all of the problems and the lack of utility among many of the other mids. And now we're gonna talk about lows. And here, Armor King used to have sort of the edge on King in Tag 2 due to down 3. +1 sets up Giant Swing, which is uninterruptible. If this connects, oh sorry, if down 3 connects, Giant Swing is uninterruptible. But of course these days, King has this low. Same attributes. He also has Armor King's Damage 4 for a big damage knockdown low. But disgustingly, due to a season 3 buff, King now has an amazing forward neutral too. Comes out at what? 20 frames at least. It has to be 20 if you do it perfectly. +1 on hit, has some good high crushing due to crouching into it. But a counter hit, don't have to do anything, automatically does 53 damage. But they buffed it to -14. It's only -14 on block, so most characters don't launch that. So it's now an incredible low. And then you contrast this to Armor King's fucking forward 2, which has better frames on hit. Absolutely better frames on hit. King's is +1, this is +7. It is 1 frame slower, but the big problem is that on block it's -18. Every single character in the game is going to launch you. So again, with Armor King, you're always taking more risk. And you have damage 3, which is of course launch punishable. You see, not as much range as King's damage 3. You see the range? And these are both counter hit low launchers, and both are launch punishable. But I find King's to be better than Armor King's. And then of course King's has this for sort of a novelty move, but sometimes has huge payoff. It's pretty nice to have. And of course, as I mentioned in the start, Armor King has a type of low poke that King doesn't in down 4. This is a very nice move to have, and especially if you know how to place it properly from far away. It can be hard to punish for certain characters, but now that King has this move, it's like I find his lows to be better. Absolutely. And then counter it game. Back 1, incredible, much better than Armor King's. We mentioned this move, forward neutral 2, down for 2-1 with its delay. And now in Season 3, pretty easy to hit confirm on counter hit. Fantastic counter tool. Forward 1, fantastic counter tool. He now has a really stable Magic 4 combo as well. Oh god, and I didn't connect it? He keeps sidewalking during this key charge. Here we go. Great. Yeah, the counter tools are just better, I would say, for King. And now we're going to get into something very interesting and exclusive to these characters. And, well, you know, very important, and it's the shove. The shove. Let me just show you guys Armor Kings first. You press back 1+2, and it takes 18 frames to come out. On normal hit, it is +5. On, let's see, let's set him to block. I think it's +1 on block, actually. It's better than King's on block, I think. Yeah, it's +1. And on hit, +5. And if you counter hit, it gives you +16. And here you can obviously do a guaranteed 4-2-1. Or you can do the train, 4-1 plus 4. Or you can dark upper. But this is very difficult. Very, very difficult. Let's see if I can get one. Ah, there we go. But it's very, very, very hard to do. So it's not even a thing, to be fair, because it's so hard to do. And now let's compare this to King's Shove. And holy hell, there's no comparison on this earth. It's, first off, it's forward, neutral, 1 plus 2. So the animation itself is 9 frames. So if we do this as quickly as possible, forward, neutral, and then 1 plus 2. So as the fastest is 3 frames plus 9 frames. So 12 frames if you execute it perfectly. And on normal hit, plus 7. So this is better than Armor King's. On block, this one is neutral. Just take my word for it, is neutral. So that's not as good as Armor King's. But again, much faster. And due to the forward, has much more range than Armor King's clunky 18 frame. But the disgusting thing is, of course, on counter hit, this is plus 18. So where Armor King is 16 frames, King gets 18 frames to play around with. So if you've seen the margin, usually it's that into 4-1 for 37 damage. Remember, King's 4-1 does 5 more damage. So even if you do that, you're doing more damage. But 18 frames. Do we have a pretty decent attack with King that is 18 frames? Oh, it's 1 plus 2? Oh, that's 18. 1 plus 2, 1, but now wall bounces? Oh, okay. That's interesting. Oh no, oh god. Oh, how do you even drop that? I was gonna do that amazing, dramatic pause there into a billion damage. You can't drop that. I don't know how I did it. So it's super easy. I don't know. It's the YouTube curse, I guess. But you see, I did something very basic there. Forward counter it 1 plus 2, and then you get a guaranteed wall bounce into Shining Wizard. Super easy. Half-life. So again, this is half-life from a 12 frame, if you do it perfectly, a 12 frame counter hit mid that is neutral on block. That's a launcher, basically, if they have her back towards the wall. It's a launcher. So just to show what this looks like on block. See? Neutral, pushback. King takes no risk. It's mid, it's not high. And if you have your back towards the wall, 1 plus 2, 1 on counter hit, wall bounce, half your life is gone. That's broken, I would say. And then, of course, Okizeme King is just so much stronger with his ground throws. Again, there's no comparison. And all of the ground throws give incredible Okizeme. Yeah, but there's no comparison. Oh, you didn't stand up perfectly. You can hop kick them in the back, whatever. Oki is amazing. And then, just as icing on the cake, King's Rage Drive is among the best in the game. It has so much utility. So much utility. Plus frames, you know, on block. Enormous launcher. You can do it at the wall. Jab, blam. For enormous damage. If they roll on the ground, you can use it for Oki. Hit them as they're standing up, or hit them on the ground as they're rolling on the ground. Just listen to Majin talk about that Rage Drive. It has almost infinite utility. And then of course you can contrast that to Armor King's Rage Drive, which I thought on release was going to be amazing, but I've now learned is really bad. It has pretty poor range, as you can see. On hit, yeah, does guarantee a throw, which is nice, but it's high. All they have to do is duck that. And yeah, you can mix that up with try and do a mid and go for a 50-50, but again, it's much better to have a Rage Drive that on hit kills them, or on block gives you big momentum. +5 to +8 on block. Again, with Armor King, you're always taking risks. You can easily whiff this. You can easily have it ducked. You can easily have it sidestepped. It's just not a good Rage Drive. I have yet to see even JDCR make good use of this, or any Armor King player. And certainly you have, after this ground throw here, you can get it guaranteed, actually, if you don't break the ground throw. But this is a just frame. It's super hard. So it would have been nice if he actually had it easy there, but nope, he doesn't. So that was my breakdown, and it came in at half an hour, which is slightly faster than I thought. And again, Tombstone, Armor King gets worse Oki. They recover much faster than on King's Tombstone. If you're fast enough here, you can actually downward one them in the back, or forward 2-1. So all of the throws, it's like this. King just does it better. So I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. I'm a huge fan of both of these characters, but I almost feel... No, almost. My heart goes out to people who play Armor King these days. He's just so much worse than King. And historically, King used to get the rough end of that, but I think Armor King deserves buffs. If you're listening, Bandai Namco, he deserves buffs in upcoming balance patches. And maybe you could even take down King a notch, but he's still very hard to play, technical character, so he can stay the way he is, in my opinion. But Armor King can't stay where he is. He desperately needs buffs. So, hope you enjoyed the breakdown, and I hope you all have a lovely day. Take care, everyone.